made it don't mean you made it. You know what I mean? Keep it 100. I'm gonna give you this message, real talk. I watched lose $1 billion. I like my brother Suge Knight. I watched some travel the country. I like all the artists that done been rich and travel the country. I watch motherfuckers come and go in this business. I watch get bags, hit houses, get $1 million and be broke. I watch motherfuckers make 15, 16 million and be broke. What you need to do is be careful who you stepping on your way up. In a what did it say? Early rise, early to get tired, motherfucker.
Federal authorities are bringing new charges against a longtime leader of the infamous Crips gang and self-styled music producer known as Big U. The attorney's office announcing charges against Eugene Henley Jr. Authorities say Henley is responsible for murder, drug, and human trafficking.
Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to The Source, your source for celebrity news. Check this out. As you know, Big U has been hit with the RICO after being accused of murking several people and also being the head of an illegal organization. Now, while most of us who know Big U are like, oh snap, other people are out there like,
set this up so I understand what's going on. Stop talking to me like I've been here and I know what's happening. Like explain it to me so I know what to do and I can match your energy. Don't just start like, yo.
Alright, so let's start from the beginning, because I know darn well that there's a whole lot of people out there who watch all of these shows on YouTube and they see that Big U is trending and you're like, yo, who in the world is Big U? I mean, if you tell me about Busta Rhymes, I know who you're talking about. If you tell me about the Wu-Tang Clan, I know who you're talking about. If you tell me about Cardi B, I know who you're talking about. But I am not an expert on West Coast gangsters. Alright, so with that being said, I'm going to rewind time and explain to you who Big U is. Listen, hit that like button and let's get started. You remember the movie Friday and you remember the character Debo? Well, the character of Debo is actually based on Big U. He's the type of dude who used to ride around Compton on his little bicycle and just knock ninjas out and then rob them. And then, after he knocked you out and robbed you, other people would run up in the middle of the street and be like, oh my goodness, you just got knocked the cuff out. Alright, so that's who Big U is.
You know where we started at? We demoed this all day. We was first. Nobody before us.
Now, all of the boys in the hood used to get mad shook when Big U, aka Debo, used to ride down the street on his bicycle because he was a menace to society. Now, because Big U had hands and he used to squabble up and rob people, people started to fear Big U and they would start shaking in their Converse every time this ninja started cycling down the street. As a result, Big U gained a reputation that allowed him to rise up the ranks and become one of the top shot callers of the Rolling 60s Crips.
Home turf of the Rolling 60s, part of the largest street gang in all of Los Angeles, a gang called the Crips.
What it means to the community. To the community, it means terrorism, but nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? To us, it's just like, hey.
Meet Creeper, Lowdown, Little Creeper, and Mr. E-Bone.
I mean, we've been on TV. We've been in the newspapers. Everywhere we go, we take over. It's just like we're a nightmare on somebody's street. Like a plague.
They'd like you to believe that they're the worst thing to hit civilization since Attila the Hun. Because on these streets, reputation is everything, whether it's earned or not. What do you do that makes people so fearful?
We can walk into a place and that'll make people fearful just knowing that it's Rolling 60. The name itself. And what it carries behind it.
What does it carry behind it?
It carries dirt, carries murder, carries whatever you want. Treachery. It's pure treachery. Nightmare.
Now, as he was rising up the ranks, Big U got tired of the pocket change. He was like, wait a minute, digging in people's pockets is never going to get me where I want to be. So, Big U got involved in an illegal car ring where he would steal the keys to foreign cars, and then they would chop them up or sell them. Now mind you, when all of this is going on, Big U is still a teenager who's underage. So, when the police eventually catch him, they take him to Central Juvenile Hall. And according to Big U, he had mad cases against him. However, the courts couldn't find him guilty because none of the witnesses would come forward to testify against him. Alright, so when it was time for Big U to finally get released from juvie, the courts were like, listen, we might not have been able to find you guilty, but we know you're guilty as hell. So, we're not going to release you back into the care of your mother, but instead, your father needs to come get you from Chicago. And that's what his father did. He flew to LA and picked up his son and took Big U back to the Chi. Now, while Big U was living with his father in Chicago, his homeboy back home in LA, Chili Capone, got murked in the streets. So, when Big U finally did return to LA, he was mad angry, and him and his boys started to hunt down all of the ninjas that they believed took out Chili Capone. But this time, instead of just fighting ninjas, Big U and his boys started pulling triggers. Alright, so back in the early 80s, one of the places to be in West LA was the World on Wheels roller skating rink, and Big U and the Rolling 60s would post up at the skating rink on Friday, Saturday, and or Sunday nights and just knock ninjas out in the parking lot. I mean, real talk, it was like a real life game of Mortal Kombat, but with gangsters.
These are parties LA niggas used to go to that you'll get your ass whooped at. Now the first spot will be World on Wheels, specifically the 7-7. Now the 7-7 was an event they had at World on Wheels where it started at 7 p.m. and then they locked the doors and you were stuck in there until 7 a.m. the next morning. I don't think there has never been a 7-7 where some niggas ain't got the whooped up there. Niggas will be in that little dance floor in the middle getting their groove on, and next thing you know, you getting socked up by some Crips. World on Wheels is right there on Venice and Rempal. It also won the award for most shootings within the vicinity of a police station. There used to be so many gang-related shootings at World on Wheels, you would have never thought a police station was next door to it.
Now, a lot of people who didn't know Big U or never went to his hood underestimated him because he looked like a big goofy dude with glasses, knee-high socks, and a jerry curl. But if there's one thing that they learned in the parking lot of World on Wheels, it's this. It's never good to underestimate the big goofy dude with the jerry curl, the knee-high socks, and the glasses. So after knocking out mad ninjas every weekend at World on Wheels, Big U's reputation began to grow, and so did the power of the Rolling 60s. And this so happened to be around the same time that hip-hop really started taking hold, and hip-hop concerts started to be held in convention centers in LA, which gave gang members another place to meet up and fight. For example, when Run DMC, LL Cool J, and Houdini had a concert in Long Beach at the Oceanfront Arena, Big U and the Rolling 60s rolled up to the concert about 200 strong. Then, they just started scrapping with their ops in the concert and in the parking lot. According to DMC from Run DMC, he looked out into the crowd and ninjas were getting thrown off the rafters and getting punched out of nowhere. He said it was crazy, it was pandemonium. According to some other bystanders, including a little Jermaine Dupri, who also had his own little jerry curl, the Rolling 60s were running around on the stage and some of the artists even got caught in it. When speaking about the concert years later, Big U said, "That night changed LA and changed the way LA will forever be. From that point on, the Rolling 60s became legends in the streets. And that concert and concerts just like it are the real reason why the hood began to grow in LA." Alright, so now it's the mid-1980s, Ice-T just dropped 6 in the morning, and the crack epidemic is at an all-time high in the streets of LA. This caused many gangbangers to turn their sights away from simply fighting at skating rinks and concerts, and now they set their sights on getting money.
If somebody came up to you tomorrow, grabbed you and said, "I got a job, a good job, good pay for you," would that make a difference?
Come on, let's go now. It ain't gonna stop me from gripping.
When discussing this time period, Big U once said, "You had more sophisticated weapons in the streets of LA. When we were younger, we were lucky to get a 38. Now, dudes got all types of artillery, 357 Magnums, everybody's got 45s now. Then it went to 9s. Then it went to Uzis, AKs, and ish we ain't never seen. Cause there were so many ways to get unalived in LA when this cocaine hit. It was treacherous. You had to watch out for your team, the other team, the robbers, and the police. I was living by, a code, and that code was get them before they get you." Big U also said that he was actually part of the start of hip-hop because after a while, drugs began to adapt to hip-hop and hip-hop began to adapt to drugs. So, by default, in Big U's mind, because he was out there slinging rock, he was also part of hip-hop. Around this time, Big U and the Rolling 60s had amassed so much power in LA that when artists came to LA to perform, they had to do the check-in. And I know, you're like, Source, what's the check-in? The check-in is when an artist or any other person has to check in with the biggest dog in the territory to find out, 1, if they're able to enter into that territory, and 2, if once they enter into the territory, they're able to move around freely without getting pow-pow. Source, can you please show everybody an example of Big U posting up back in the day and telling a movie crew that if they wanted to film in LA, they needed to come check in with him?
Make it out. Make it out. Don't matter. You're nice, go hard.
Movie production in the hood. That's how we do it, Jones, man.
Top flight, baby. Security.
GB running this here movie set in the hood.
Come on out here.
Coming out here and checking in with GB, getting these movies done. You better know it. You know what I mean? Anytime you want to do movies in the hood, just check it in. We can make sure it's done. Movies, videos. But if you don't check it in,
Oh well. Let's go check your ass out.
we're gonna check you in, all right. We're gonna do it. We're gonna check it all of your equipment. We're gonna check it all of your equipment.
Okay, so essentially, if I was going to use a simile to describe this, Big U is to LA, what J Prince is to Texas, and Trick Trick is to Detroit. Because in each of their independent states, those are the dudes that you're supposed to check in with. Listen, I have never been down with that checking in ish. And before I get back to telling you the story about Big U, let me tell you this funny story about checking in. Back in the days when I was younger, there was this little gangbanger who was representing one of the sets of the Bloods, who moved from the West Coast to New York. So, when she got to New York, she thought that the same rules that applied on the West Coast applied on the East Coast. So this chick moves into the town and she thinks she's gonna run ish. And let's just call her Red. Because I mean, this chick was rocking all red. She had on the red bandana. She's throwing up the gang signs. She thinks that she's the hardest blood that ever lived. And she tried to tell us that we couldn't walk through our neighborhood park unless we checked in. So here I go. I had just bought a red coat from Old Navy. I mean, on a sale rack. Couldn't have paid more than like $30, $40 for it. But, you know, it was cute. So I'm walking through the neighborhood park and this chick rolls up on me and she's like, yo, didn't I say that nobody can walk through this park unless they check in? And as a matter of fact, run that red coat. So I look at this chick like she's crazy and I'm like, little girl, if you don't get out of my face right now, I will jack you up. Anyhow, needless to say, I walk through the park with my red coat. Anyhow, I go home, I take off my coat, and then my mother says to me, I'm getting ready to go to the store. I'm gonna borrow your coat. So I was like, okay. Fast forward 30 minutes later, and my mother gets back from the store, and she says, you're never gonna believe what happened to me. I said, what? She said, I was walking through the park, and this little gangbanger rolled up to me and said that I needed to run this red coat. So I was like, really? I said, what did you tell her? And my mother was like, I looked at her like she was crazy, and I was like, little girl, if you don't get out of my face right now, I will jack you up. Anyhow, that was the end of the check-ins because she tried to stop somebody else from going through the park. They gave her the two-piece. She fell to the ground, got embarrassed, and moved out of the neighborhood. And we didn't have to see her again. Listen, we don't play that where I come from. Anyhow, let me know down below. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody in your neighborhood or in a neighborhood that you went to expected you to check in? Let me know in the comment section, and while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Alright, so at the tender age of 18, Big U got arrested for allegedly murking somebody. And he was sent to cell block 4800 in the county jail, where they put all of the Crips from certain sets because the Crips were getting so strong that the authorities wanted to separate the Crips from all the other inmates in the jail. When talking about his experience, Big U said that once he got locked up, he wanted to go to 4800 because that's where he felt that you had to go in order to prove yourself. Big U said 4800 was crazy. Every day you wake up, you gonna have to fight to prove yourself.
There's a lot of fictitious shit. Oh no, he knocked out 32 niggas. He got the knockout record in the penitentiary in California. And one life. Documented on camera, nigga. Documented. He got to ride up every last one of them niggas. He knocked 32 niggas out. Okay. He did that.
Big U also said that if all of these gangsters out on the street who were in prison were really who they said they were, he would have never been able to become who he was because he wouldn't have been able to walk the yard and just knock ninjas out. Alright, so in 1987, Big U caught a break because the attorney that he was working with was able to beat all of the cases against him and he was released with just probation. According to sources, Big U brought order to the rolling 60s when he got out. One person said he brought it all together, he was the glue, so now they ready to move when he tells them to move. And speaking about moving, after a while the streets started to get real hot, so Big U decided to move to Minnesota, and from there, he started taking over blocks and setting up new cliques in other states. According to Big U, that's when his influence really grew, and he was able to tell other people what to do. Big U said The His crew was so tight at that time that they didn't even have to communicate using words. They could communicate with just a look. And if the block got real hot, their new motto was, I'm gonna run until they catch me. Now, from Minnesota, Big U really started to scale up his narcotics business, and he would fly into LA every now and then to do some business. He would stay for a week or two and then return to Minnesota. He also started moving weight in other places like Chicago and Atlanta. During one particular trip to Chicago when he was 21, Big U said that he took some time and read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and it changed his whole life. According to Big U, after he read that book, he was ready to switch things up and he was ready to change his life. So he immediately cut off his jerry curl and he was ready to start getting into his grown man mode. But Big U was like, wait a minute, if I stop selling drugs, what am I gonna do? Because I'm not finna be out here broke. But then something happened. One day he was walking through the Fox Hill Mall and he ran into a rapper called Papa LQ. And Papa LQ told him that he had just made a song called Beat Turn and that he was looking for a manager. And he asked Big U if Big U would be willing to be his manager. And Big U was like, wait a minute, I don't know anything about the music business. And he was like, yo, you may not know anything about the music business, but if there's anybody who has connections in LA, it's you. Alright, so after Big U started managing Papa LQ, a mutual friend was like, listen, I got this kid that I think you should also work with. And Big U was like, alright, let me meet him. And it ended up being Corrupt. Now, Big U became Corrupt's manager at the perfect time, because this was around the same time that John Singleton dropped the movie Boys in the Hood, which really popularized a certain segment of West Coast culture, allowing artists like Corrupt to really blow up. According to Big U, when the West Coast music got on, the world got a chance to see what they did on a daily basis. And by 1992, the West Coast sound really blew up when Dr. Dre and Snoop dropped G-Thing. And the West Coast sound crossed over to the East Coast and changed the direction of music forever. According to Snoop Dogg, this is around the same time when you start to see drug dealers who start thinking about becoming moguls like Fortune 500 businessmen, and they start really investing money in hip-hop and into hip-hop artists. Okay, so while Big U was managing Corrupt, he was still gangbanging in them streets, and eventually the police set their eyes on Big U in San Diego, and they started posting wanted posters of Big U all over the place. And as a result, he went on the run for 3 years until he finally got caught in a sting operation in 1991. Big U was tried and convicted for trying to rob an undercover sheriff's deputy of 33 pounds of cocaine, and Big U was eventually sentenced to 56 years in prison.
Well, it was a setup. It was a play. We was set up. One of the brothers who rests in peace had, I guess, was in a pinch, and he set us up, set the play up. We end up. It was an undercover police officer, so they said it was a drug buy, but it really was never a drug buy. It was a robbery from our point of view from day one. It was never a drug buy. We showed them the money, spin off with the money, and then come back to do the robbery. That's pretty much how we did it for years.
Now, while Big U was in prison, he read as many books as he could, educated himself, and eventually linked up with Harry O, who was also in prison with him. And in case you don't know, Harry O was the kingpin who actually gave Suge Knight the startup money for Death Row. And Harry O is also the dude who teamed up with Snoop Dogg to take Death Row from Suge Knight. Anyhow, according to Big U, while they were in prison together, Harry O really started to put him on the game, and he used to give him various artist contracts to read over so that he could learn the business, including Eazy-E's contract and other artists that were signed to Death Row. And over the years, he was able to really learn the ins and outs of the music and entertainment industry, which really helped him because even though he was behind bars, he was still managing Corrupt. And there was no interruption in that business relationship until Big U got thrown in a hole for 3 years. Now, in an interesting turn of events, while Big U was in prison, his 56-year sentence got cut in half, and then 17 days after he got out of the hole, he was actually released from jail in 2004 after only doing 13 years in prison. So according to an interview with Snoop Dogg, Big U was totally institutionalized when he got out of prison. He was short-tempered and quick to cuff somebody up because Big U needed to decompress, and he had to get used to being back out on the streets after spending the last 3 years in a little dark hole in prison. So after he had some time to adapt to being back out on the streets, Big U said that he really did change while he was in prison. And Big U said that he had spent the first part of his life destroying the black community, so now he wanted to be known as someone who helped to heal a community and bring it to a better place. Over the next 2 decades, Big U would go on to rebrand himself into a businessman and a community leader who really helped to ease the tensions between rival gangs. When talking about his ability to de-escalate gang violence, Big U once said, "If I don't answer my phone, it can mean somebody gets unalived." Big U eventually would go on to found Developing Options, which is a non-profit organization aimed at providing South Los Angeles youth with alternatives to gang violence and criminal activity. Okay, so through Corrupt, Big U was able to link up with Suge Knight and he got back into the music game. According to Big U, Suge put money in his pocket and put him in position to win. However, around the time when Tupac got unalived, Big U said that Suge started to self-destruct. So he decided to go his own separate way, find his own artist, and do his own thing. That's when Big U's homeboy TD told him that he really needed to link up with this young up-and-coming artist around the way called Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey was about 17 or 18 years old, and Big U had already had about 30 years of gang experience under his belt. So he took Nipsey under his wing. According to Big U, he showed Nipsey what it looks like to get to the next level in the music business because, as Big U said, nobody can just come into the business and just know it. You gotta learn it from somebody. Big U also said, "When I met Nip, he hadn't even really made any music. I think he was just recording and had some CDs he was trying to pass out. He had no video, he had nothing." Big U continued on to say that because of his reputation and his connections, he was able to eventually get Nipsey's music into the hands of Steve Lobel over at Interscope. And Steve heard Bullets Ain't Got No Name by Nipsey and loved him because he thought he sounded like a West Coast 50. Big U said that he needed Steve Lobel because he needed a white boy and he also needed a Jew because he could get into places that he couldn't get into as a black man. Steve Lobel eventually took Nipsey's music to Epic and they signed Nipsey through Cinematic. When discussing the deal, Big U said, "I just really needed Steve to be the face, but he ended up being the one who brought the deal when we signed Nip." Once they signed the deal, Steve Lobel said, "Me and Big U decided we'd become management and we made history together with Nipsey." Alright, so this is where the story gets real interesting because after getting signed, Nipsey started making headlines and getting a whole lot of buzz. So he ended up going on tour with The Game and Kendrick Lamar. During the tour, Big U says that when they reached Denver, he had to dip out and go home for some reason or another. And when he got back home, the feds hit his house because the mobile home / Winnebago / tour bus that Nipsey was using had previously been used to ship narcotics and it was registered in Big U's wife's name. When the feds cuffed him and his wife up, Big U claimed that he didn't have anything to do with the narcotics, and he would later go on to disclose that he didn't know that his homeboy, who he got the Winnebago from, had been on a run for 12 years for selling narcotics. Alright, so when the feds raided his home, they confiscated a bag of money and also found a few illegal pistols. So they took him and his wife to jail. Big U says that when the whole thing went down, he was heated with Steve Lobel and Nipsey because they never came to the jail to bail him out. As a matter of fact, Big U says that the only reason that he got out of jail is because the homies from around the way came and paid his bail. Okay, so fast forward. Nipsey and Big U would eventually have a fallout over some music equipment which resulted in them getting into a physical altercation in the streets. Big U claims that after he moved his music equipment from Nipsey's spot without Nipsey's permission, Nip got mad and made a diss song about him. In response, Big U said, "I'm not a rapper, I'm a scrapper." So they ended up having to deal with that in the streets. Big U said, "I pulled up on homies and Nip admitted his wrongs, but still, there are consequences to your wrong." Big U also said that when he went to pick up Nip so that he could get his discipline, Nip's brother Black Sam got involved, talking about, "My brother's not going nowhere." Now, in response, Big U said, Black Sam isn't in the rolling 60s and he's not from the hood, so he shouldn't have involved himself in gang business. According to Big U, him and Nip talked it out after the fight and it was never nothing after that. Big U claims that when Nip eventually signed his new deal with Atlantic and was putting out Victory Lap, he called Nip to celebrate, but they never had a chance to link up. Now, despite the fact that Big U says that it was all good and he often pulls out text messages to prove it, Nipsey Hussle's brother Black Sam says that Big U is full of it because after him and Nip got into that fight, it was never ever all good in the hood.
This is the last conversation me and Nip had. You gotta get in close. You see the date on there? See what that say? Tuesday, March 28th. This me and him talking. This me talking about DJ Khaled. I told him DJ Khaled had gave me his what you call him number, right? And I said I need to talk to Khaled. So Nip said at the video, did you talk to him? You see what he said? I ain't gotta read it. He said, did you talk to him? But I was doing an interview too, and I said, yeah. And I sent him a call, cuz back after the meeting. Nip said, off top, let me know once he...
From the 30s to the 100s, and when Hustle throw something in that parking lot, you coming. From whatever it is. You in the hood, you smoking, you coming to our spots. He was never at any functions. He was never at any grand openings. He was never at anything Hustle was doing. He was never at any shows. It's because he wasn't good in the hood. So all this other he's just talking about, I don't know. He wasn't good. You know, he wasn't good, and he was not good, and he was not around for a reason.
Now, as you already know, Nipsey Hussle was unalived on March 31st, 2019, and after his unfortunate, tragic, and untimely unaliving, Big U and others got together and did a march for Nipsey down a block in Crenshaw where Nipsey owns his stores. But a lot of people found this to be strange, because immediately after finding out that Nip was unalived, Big U was actually online laughing.
Justice for Nip.
Your boy would have been there like, yeah,
you did. You did.
It's important to note that around this time, rumors began circulating that Big U may have had something to do with Nipsey Hussle's murking, because Whack 100, former Death Row Records artist SKG, and Charleston White all jumped online and publicly implicated Eugene Big U Henley Jr. in the unaliving of rapper Nipsey Hussle.
everybody know Big U and Nipsey had an argument, homie. Everybody know Big U was shaking Nipsey Hussle down, making him pay protection fee, sorta. Everybody know that's Big U and Whack 100 game over there, homie, to protection fee. Nipsey Hussle got smart and say, nigga, I don't want to pay you $20,000 a month no more, nigga. And Nipsey Hussle come up dead. He lost his protection, and the hood killed him. We all know this, homie, just like everybody know the Nation of Islam killed Biggie. Just like everybody know who killed Tupac. So come on, homie. Everybody know the road in 60. Man, everybody know they killed that nigga, homie. And then they went and killed some innocent people from the nigga's family. You see what I'm saying? Man, fuck them niggas, homie. Man, Big U wasn't shit till Nipsey Hussle died. Let me just say that, homie. Wasn't nobody screaming Big U till he had to get the little homie out the way. It was Nip, Nip, Nip. It wasn't you, Big U. And then Big U the nigga in the hood, on the set. He the big homie on the set. Well, once Nipsey Hussle started rapping and he pulled up with that Hollywood bitch Lauren London, Big U ain't shit in the hood when Nip come through the hood. The little homies ain't looking at Big U, they looking at Nip, cuz. When Nip pull up in that Rolls Royce and that platinum Jag, looking with all that chain on, Big U and them bummy. Who you think the little homies looking want to be like, homie? So now they had to get rid of that nigga. Yeah, Nip was getting bigger than the set, cuz. And don't nobody get bigger than the set is what I was told. So they keep that nigga.
And a lot of people who believe the rumors have jumped online and pointed out that for some reason, whenever Big U gets online and starts talking about Nipsey Hussle, his story just doesn't seem to add up.
Well, I ain't killed Nipsey and had nothing to do with it because I wouldn't have benefited from Nipsey. I didn't have no business with Nipsey. Nipsey ain't signed to me, wasn't signed to me. I don't make no money off the Crenshaw shirts. I don't make nothing off nothing. I create my own. I do my own.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I signed into it. It was signed to a 10-year production contract, which started in 2009, which would end 2019.
Crazy.
Hello. But I ain't tripping off of that because, you know, it is what it is. But I do have that. You know what I mean? So,
wait, so your deal with Nipsey was 10 years?
It was 10 years.
Was it 10?
It was 10 years, 25% of publishing to Aramis Astrodome.
Oh, wow. So 09 to 2019.
09 to 2019.
So technically, Victory Lap.
Hello.
Okay. Wow.
Wow. Well, I ain't killed Nipsey and had nothing to do with it because I wouldn't have benefited from Nipsey. I didn't have no business with Nipsey. Nipsey ain't signed to me, wasn't signed to me. I don't make no money off the Crenshaw shirts. I don't make nothing off nothing. I create my own. I do my own.
That doesn't make no sense. My man.
Police have searched the Virginia.
That's my manager. But I met Steve Lovell through one of my homeboys and also his partner in my management, Big U.
I'm the homeboy. We grew up in the same neighborhood I did. When I came out, I was out about 2 years and I heard his music. And after I heard his music, I took a liking to it. I felt he could be the next one to take us both to the next level. I'm the first one to give him his first contract. Wow. The first one to give him some money. I'm the first one to sign it. The first one to did all that.
Big U came home, introduced me to Steve. Steve was a 20-year vet in the industry.
I mean, most people gonna say what they gonna say. It is what it is. We all eating, we all getting money, my nigga. I'm in a good position. I'm happy. We got our foot in the door. You know what I mean? The big homie made his position felt. You know what I'm saying? Been putting money in the nigga pocket. Niggas automatically want to make an assumption. Oh, that's that Suge Knight shit. At the end of the day, cause we Crips, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? So it's a mutual understanding as homeboys before this money and this music shit. You feel me?
Well, I ain't killed Nipsey and had nothing to do with it because I wouldn't have benefited from Nipsey. I didn't have no business with Nipsey. Nipsey ain't signed to me, wasn't signed to me. I don't make no money off the Crenshaw shirts. I don't make nothing off nothing. I create my own. I do my own.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God! Stop fucking lying!
Before Nipsey died, you was not selling them Crenshaw shirts. As a matter of fact, these were your designs. Looks like a knockoff Adidas, knockoff Bape. Oh no, this is nasty times 60 right here. The combo, the knockoff Adidas, Bape, and Louis Vuitton all in one pick. Yeah, the clothing thing, Big U, just give it up. You saw Nipsey do it, but you're not Nipsey. I think this was a shot at Big U too, though. Check out what Black Sam had to say.
And one of the things was, while the sweater and the crew necks is getting famous, everybody start bootlegging. Like the Tag A Marathon, the Crenshaw crew neck is a knockoff, and that was genius. And so now people are like, yeah, that's if it ain't got the marathon on it, it ain't the real day.
Oh, I don't have nothing to benefit from Nipsey, but you're not explaining the 10-year contract and what it included and what was it all about. Why would you sign your son, your little bro, to a 10-year contract instead of looking out for him? Oh, it wasn't a beneficial gain, but did you tell the people that Nip gave you a percentage of his album? Sugar plum. It's not adding up, right? Let's tell the world, right? How you said the clothing stores, you don't sell clothes and stuff, you give them out. You sell backpacks, blunt wraps, everything. You have a store on Crenshaw on 57th. You forgot about that? Wait. No, you couldn't forget about that. You have a store pressing up t-shirts that say Crenshaw on them. What about the press machine in the back of your store? You making hoodies. You selling spray ground backpacks with Crenshaw on them. Oh, sweetheart.
So fast forward a little bit more, and in March of 2025, federal authorities arrested Big U on charges including murder, human trafficking, robbery, and extortion, alleging his involvement in a mafia-like criminal enterprise operating under the guise of his entertainment ventures.
New details this afternoon about the man accused of being a longtime leader of the Rolling 60s Crips gang. Eugene Henley Jr. has become known in recent years for his charity work to reduce gang violence. Now the FBI is accusing him of running a criminal enterprise that committed a series of crimes, including a murder back in 2021.
When did you ever really learn how to play the drum?
Eugene Henley Jr.'s podcast, seen here on YouTube, is one of many ways he made his name.
It's season 2 of Check It In.
Henley Jr., known as Big U, interviewed celebrities.
The big homie.
Yes, sir.
And he's run a charity and music label. But the feds say he's also a longtime leader of the Rolling 60s Crips street gang. And now he's in custody for racketeering crimes that include the murder of rapper Rayshawn Williams. Court papers say Williams, seen here on Instagram, was an artist for Big U's label Unique Music. And in 2021, prosecutors say Williams wrote a song, quote, dissing Big U. Documents say Big U then kidnapped and murdered Williams in Las Vegas in retaliation for perceived disrespect. But before Williams was a rapper, he was a wide receiver for Crenshaw High School. The day after he was killed, the football program announced his death in this post on Instagram, saying in part, quote, he was a special guy to all of us. And not only did he play for Crenshaw, the wide receiver was teammates with Big U's son, Deion Henley. This LA Times video shows Henley throwing a pass to Williams. Deion Henley is now a linebacker for the LA Chargers. In 2023, the Times wrote a story about him with the headline, Conceived in Prison, Deion Henley was born into the dangerous world of his dad, who put him on a path to the NFL. Deion's quoted in the article saying, it's one heck of an origin story, adding, you know how they talk about anti-heroes? The people who are the bad guys, but they really aren't? That's my dad. But now his dad, Big U, is back in custody, and the feds say he's connected to a number of crimes, including the murder of his son's high school teammate, Rayshawn Williams.
The feds claim that Big U is behind the 2021 slaying of aspiring rapper and football player Rayshawn Williams. According to prosecutors, Big U allegedly murked Williams after the budding rapper recorded a diss track about him in a Las Vegas studio. The victim's body was later found dumped in a ditch off of Interstate 15 in a Nevada desert. Authorities also claim that Big U duped the county of Los Angeles by running a charitable organization that promoted anti-gang solutions while continuing criminal activity that was directly contrary to his charity, which is primarily funded by the LA Mayor's office. Prosecutors claim that Big U allegedly embezzled donations to the Developing Options charity and also embezzled large donations from celebrities and NBA stars, including Draymond Green and LA Laker legend Shaquille O'Neal, into his personal bank account. Now, it's important that I also say this. As of right now, Big U has denied all charges related to any alleged crimes, and he says that when this whole thing is said and done, the feds are going to come out with egg on their faces and he's going to be vindicated.
This is my last video before I turn myself in. I'm with my family. I talk to my sons, I talk to everybody, man. I'm just saying, going to deal with this fight, see what it is. I just want y'all to know, all this stuff is quagmire. This shit is all bull crap. I just need y'all prayers. I need y'all to, I don't even know what to say. I'm 21 years, I elevated my family, come back, sit in here and write and do what I need to do until I can come back home. People are supposed to help me, I hope you help me. Can't, you don't worry about it. A lot of stuff y'all hearing is straight trash. And I appreciate the love, and I appreciate the people who've been helping me. I don't know. It's hard helping black people and not being hunted for doing it.
Alright, so before I forget, let me say this. I do not agree with Charleston White when he says that everybody in the black community knows that the Nation of Islam knocked off Biggie. Not only don't I know that, but I don't believe that. So, I just wanted to clear that up. Anyhow, that's about it for today, because today, I just wanted to jump on here and let the people who didn't know who Big U is know who Big U is, because I know how YouTube gets. I know that we'll jump on here and start telling you about a ninja that you ain't never heard about. We'll be like, yo, Yellow BZ did this, and so-and-so did this, as if you grew up hearing about these ninjas your whole life. Anyhow, that's all I really wanted to get to today, and I'll do another video in which I actually share my opinion on this entire situation. But for now, that's about it. Listen, let me know what you think about the Big U story and everything that we discussed in today's video. And while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to The Source, your source for celebrity news. Peace.